fooling around with a title called Tunguska. This is a game that's right up the alley if you've ever played anything like Stalker, or you've ever played anything along the lines of, I guess, Chernobylite, or if you've played Metro, it's kind of like that. This is one of those games where you're going into a Soviet abandonment zone that's been irradiated by nukes and all kinds of other crazy stuff. Got looters over here. Man, I'm going to take care of them. And along the way, the game is a survival RPG. There's going to be a lot of narrative. There's going to be a lot of dialogue and talking, that kind of stuff. Let's see if we can drop some of these looters back here. Looks like I got tagged a little bit. Let me reload the old SKS. This Simonov needs to bump. See if I can put some hits on that guy. Is he down? I got word that there was a airdrop coming into this area, and so I'm currently engaging in all kinds of filth and villainy, trying to get that airdrop at the moment. But the game is not in early access, but the game is still actively worked on by the developer, who's constantly adding new DLC and new stuff for you to check out inside the game. He's also constantly bug fixing and patching, so I figured it was time after a year or so to take a look at the game again. Did I get him? He's down. All right, good. We took care of him. Let's see what's going on with this airdrop, man. They said there's about to be an airdrop out here, and I am interested. Looks like everybody was beefing for this thing, dude. There's bodies all over the place out here. The game does have a full inventory loot system. You've got helmets, you've got headgear, you've got primaries, secondaries. These will have different attachments and things on them as you go through the game. But if after watching this you wanted to get the title for yourself, I got a link for you down below in the description. On top of that, you can also take a look down there and you'll find a link to my Discord and my Twitch stream. You know that I like to play games like this on stream pretty frequently, sort of like sandboxy games that allow me to get out there and scrum with enemies in post-apocalyptic environments. So this is a good one. I've put about 8 hours into it at this point. I've been playing the game quite a lot, more so than most of the games that I cover, just because it's enjoyable. Like, the game is really proof of what you can do if you're trying to piece together a game really just out of assets and grit. That's pretty much the entire story here, is that everything is fairly basic when it comes to the visuals of this game and the gameplay of this game, but it's put together in such a way that the game is pretty entertaining. So the overwhelming narrative here that we're playing around with is that I am an arms dealer who has become an investigative journalist after getting out of jail and prison and all that kind of stuff. And I'm role-playing it as I'm still an arms dealer. I'm in the zone trying to figure out how I can smuggle things in and out of this place to make maximum amounts of money. But the interesting thing about the setup and the arrangement of this game is that you're an investigative reporter. You aren't inherently tied to any faction inside this area. You're looking out for number one, and you're just looking for interesting stories that you radio back home, and then they give you stipends and money that you can spend whenever you come across interesting stories or interesting things that happen. This can come from interviewing people inside the zone. This can come from quests that you go out and complete. It can come from a lot of different locations and spots, but at the end of the day, you're kind of like a passive observer here. You can get involved with things about as much as you want or about as little as you want. Now, because it's a narrative RPG, you're obviously going to get drawn into a prevailing narrative that you're going to be interacting with. The game is semi-open world. It's open world in the same respect that Stalker is open world, I guess. So if you've ever played the original Stalker, it's a bunch of hand-created zones that you kind of just cruise through. This airdrop had a couple goodies in it. That's not bad. I could definitely take some of this stuff. I mean, the food in and of itself is going to be worthwhile, because I've been really low on food. As I said, this is a survival RPG, so you're going to want to stack up as much of this stuff to bring back home as you possibly can. The narrative onus in this game is that people get mutated inside of the zone, and strangely enough, once they become mutated, all of their blood and all of their parts and all of their brains and stuff like that can be used by chemists and also by apothecaries and sort of like pharmacists in order to make fantastic drugs that will heal people of things like cancer. Like things that we don't have a cure for, they exist inside the zone, and so people are making enormous amounts of money inside of the zone, finding these parts, harvesting and turning them into sort of these makeshift drugs that will heal people of any malady that you can think of. And that's sort of like the theme of the game and sort of the ambience of the game, is that you're in the middle of this sort of pharmaceutical gold rush, and there's a lot of factions all murdering and killing and wiping each other out, trying to get firm control of these things. airdrop was pretty fortuitous. A lot of really good repaired guns inside of here that I'm going to be able to sell to people because, as I mentioned, I'm an arms dealer. So let's hit the road. As of right now, I've got a job where I've got to collect a bunch of ghoul parts. We will go and do that. I think I may have them all in storage at the moment. We're waiting, so there's a guy that his wife got leukemia, and we're waiting for him to get back from the area that he was out on a job. And I'm guessing it's connected to when I deliver all these ghoul parts, as they told me to go do this in the meantime. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, yep, that's a lot of zombies. Run. Oh, buddy. I'm going to tap them up to the best of my ability, but there's a lot of them. Different guns have different handling in this game. It's also got an aiming system that you're going to have to get used to, where the reticle blooms the longer you hold it down on a person. There we go. We wiped them all out. You guys got anything for me? Actually, this is a really good opportunity to get those ghoul parts that I was talking about. There's some of them right there. There's a ghoul brain right there. What does this guy have going on for me? I have my handy-dandy motorcycle over here that helps me get around town. You can fix up a motorcycle. I don't think that was a feature the last time that I played the game. But the motorcycle functions as kind of like fast travel. You can still only move one zone adjacent to where you are in it, so it leads to a lot of fiddly-diddly clicking. I kind of wish you could use it to go anywhere that you've discovered at the moment, but not the way that it works, unfortunately. I'm going to do some managerial tasks here. I'm going to sell off some of my loot and get some things done. Once that's been finished, we will get to the active task of delivering and making things happen inside the zone. As you can see from my inventory, there are a buttload of items in this game. There are more items than you can fathom inside of this game. And the game does have a fully immersive crafting system for you as well. There is quality of life that unlocks as you go along, but this game has harvesting, it has planting, it has foraging, it's got, medicinal crafting, bullet crafting, gun crafting, all that kind of stuff. But the interesting thing about it is that I'm going to grab the motorcycle here, and we're going to head over to the barn. I think I know where I can get the ghoul parts from. So I'm going to take the motorcycle on over there. But all of the crafting in this game is fully immersive, meaning you need to, memorize the recipes. And then you put them into combination benches and things like that. And once you slap them on into there, it actually becomes something useful. Who are these guys? They hostile? I cleared this place out hours ago. No, they're not hostile. All right, cool. They're on our team then. But I think over by the church over here, there's zombie spawns that we can actually get some of these extra parts from that we're going to be needing. I've got loads and loads of 7.62 ammo, so I don't really see a reason to go too wild and create. There's a scythe over there. Ugh, that's not great. Maybe light him up a little bit. Is he dead yet? He's wounded. That's at least slightly better than I was hoping. I got to thumb load the Simonov. Unfortunately, we don't have stripper clips for it. Down he goes. You do have different forms of XP in this game that you are going to need to figure out. Down in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see a little tiny blue meter, and you can see a big old green meter. The little tiny blue meter, we got him. A visitation event. We need to hide in an underground environment. Hiding above ground helps too, but we'll still get some Tunguska. Oh, dude, I'm about to get irradiated, aren't I? All right, let me grab everything that I can grab here. And then we need to get underground because this has emissions just like Stalker Anomaly does, where there's psi storms and there's normal storms and there's kind of blowouts and things like that. There is a bunker inside this building that I'm aware of. Hopefully nothing moved in while I was in the area. Did anything move in? Okay, it's slightly irradiated down here, so we're going to need to be careful about being down in here. But we need to wait for the emission to be done. All right, I think the emission is done. We got a little bit of survival XP, as I was talking about. You've got a blue meter and you've got a green meter in the bottom left-hand corner. You level up along two different paradigms in this game. You've got your survival XP, and you've got, oh my god, you've got your survival XP, and you've got yourself your just normal XP. Combat XP and survival XP. I don't know how tough these guys are going to be. After a visitation, you can never really tell, but I'm hoping these guys will give me the parts that I need in order to finish off this quest. So we'll wipe out a couple of them over here, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. I can always craft more 7.62 ammo if I end up needing it. The real problem is when your guns wear down, because repairing weapons in this game is actually kind of a big undertaking. We got some blood off of him. We got a brain off of him, which is good because that's one of the things that I needed. We got 4 hearts off of him. That's a hell of a mutation. He's going to be hard to take down with them 4 hearts. Got you. All right, so we should have all the stuff we need right now just from hunting. Oh, it killed the birds in the air, too. That's a nice little detail. This game is full of little details like that, but I'm going to